Perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation, everyone. So my name is Neeraj Keria, and I have been working in this IT industry for more than 13 years now. So let's get started on our discussion on Tableau tutorial. So the main agenda for today's session, we are going to discuss on what is data visualization, why Tableau, what exactly Tableau is, how we can work on installing Tableau. Then we are going to discuss on visualizations in Tableau and how we can work with creating functions here. So if we talk about why exactly we need business intelligence, then first of all, business intelligence is used to boost productivity. We can pull data and create reports at the click of a button. So again, when we have the access to multiple sets of data, then it becomes really easy for us to create reports out of it. For example, we have a table containing the sales report for a company. Now, the company wants to understand how exactly its performance has been in 2019 or in one specific year. So these information cannot be easily interpreted by using the conventional tables here, right? So we can create a quick visualization on top of it by using the BI tools, or we can say business intelligence tools. And this helps us in gaining sales and market intelligence. That means here we can get a good support in terms of winning new customers, because once we get a good insight on the pattern, we will be able to make modifications to our marketing strategy, to our application setup, so that we can get more conversions. And and again, it helps us in reaching our established goals. With BI, we can keep a track of information and set our goals accordingly. Then if we talk about again, here we have other advantages, as in we have to gain insights into consumer behavior. So basically, we can boost our ability to analyze the current consumer buying trends. So organization can develop products on consumption. Here it offers better return on investment, because at the end, every company is making the same investment, but it all comes down to the ROI. That means how much value we can derive from the existing infrastructure, and then how we can turn data into actionable information. So BI system is an analytical tool that gives us insight we need to make successful strategic plans for our organization. That's how it works. So now if we talk about the concepts of data visualizations, and visualization, as we discussed, it allows us to have access to huge amount of data, and that too in a complete visualized format. And well-designed data graphics are usually the simplest and at the same time the most powerful, because without them, we won't be able to make the correct sense of the current data that we have the access to, right? So for example, we can take a small example here to understand why data visualization is needed. Now, just by taking a look at this data, don't you all think that it is almost the same? This table here, like we have four tables here, right? We have table 1, 2, 3, and 4. So are these tables almost the same? It looks like, right? In terms of the X values, the values for Y, in terms of the total, in terms of the entire distribution here, it all looks the same, correct? With a slight variation. But if we try to plot this on a graph here, we can see they are completely different with each other. So the first plot, again, as you can see here, it is basically, we can say, a positive correlation with each other. Second one is again saturated, becomes saturated at one point, and then we can see a curved graph there. Same way in the third, we can see a linear distribution, okay, how the impact has been. Third one is simply static. That means there is no growth. So if the value of one increases, then again, it doesn't have impact on the other value. That means the growth here is static, correct? So that's why again, and that's why we can see here, this is all they are all having the same type of data set, but again, they all have been in different patterns. So when viewed in the tabular format, all the four quarters look different. Same, but again, in terms of the visualization, they all look different. So if we talk about the scope of visual analytics, then it provides us a good information analytics, so which we can make some insight, make some decision. Here, if we have data in the format of geospatial information, for example, we may have sales report for the entire country or one specific region, then we can do that. We have the scientific analytics that we can derive. We have the options of knowledge discovery. That means we can get a better insight of how data is related, how it is scattered across different parameters. We can get good data management and knowledge representation by using the advanced visualization methods. And then in terms of products, or in terms of presentation, production, and discrimination, it allows us team to make quick reports, and that too presentable. And it offers cognitive and perceptual science, because here we can get also derive forecast as well. We can set the entire trend lines. We can get some good insight in terms of forecasts that can be visualized by using the BI tools. Now, the accuracy of the forecast that depends upon the data that we are referring to, and plus it also refers on the model that we have created, plus the tool that we are going to use here. So it varies from one tool to the other. And then it offers a better interaction level as compared to other platforms. Now, if we talk about the entire process of data visualization, then first of all, we have to integrate different data sets, because data can be coming from different source. It can be coming from a database, from a simple local CSV or Excel file. It may be coming in from multiple third-party applications, like we have Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, Marketo. We may have data coming in from data warehouse itself. So when we have different, and plus data can be also in different formats. So when we have data scattered in different sources, then we can simply work on making sure that we are collecting all the data first, and then we can work on analyzing it. We can work on setting up the relationship. We can draw the entire data schema, and then we have to create a visualized report out of it. So integration, analyzing, and visualization, these three are the main phases involved in data visualization steps. Now, let's discuss on why Tableau. Now, Tableau is one of the most popular formats that we have, right? So Tableau offers a completely intuitive platform. So Tableau, again, there are multiple players in the market. Like we have Tableau, we have Power BI, along with other platforms. But again, Tableau is popular because, first of all, it is flexible in terms of getting data from multiple sources and then making a quick report out of it. It has an intuitive platform that makes it easier for anyone who is just using the BI platform for the first time to start using the platform, and that too in the most efficient format. It offers interactive visuals. That means we can simply use the platform with multiple visualization report types that is already there. We can create a complete interactive dashboard as well that can be shared with anyone. And then we have a quick production time. That means the entire time required to integrate data and then making sure that we are able to create a visualized report is less. We don't have to spend time much into any kind of manual setup. So we can get a good report generated out of this entire platform. Among one of the main features why Tableau has been popular as one of the most efficient BI tools out there in the market right now. The Tableau is it is one of the most popular tools which provides interactive data visualization products focused on business intelligence. Now, Tableau helps the world's largest organization unleash the power of their most valuable assets, their data and the people. Because unless company is analyzing its entire data set, they won't be able to even sustain in the market, let alone moving forward, right? And it allows the customer to spend more time on data analysis and less on data wrangling. Now, data wrangling is what? Data wrangling is simply making sure that we are able to process the data in the right format before we start working on any kind of analysis. For example, a simple raw data has multiple inconsistencies, right? So there will be multiple inconsistent values. There will be multiple, we can say, values which are not clean. For example, we may be having multiple missing values, multiple abnormalities in the entire data sets, correct? So we have to make sure that we are able to remove all of these anomalies, then only we can get the data correct, right? Next, if we talk about Tableau architecture, then Tableau offers the connection to multiple data sources. We can connect to any kind of database, as in Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, SAP, Sysbase, Teradata, Greenplum. We can have integration from multiple web application streams as well. Like we have Twitter, we can connect that with Microsoft Dynamics, and we can also connect that with multiple local file sources, like we have the JSON file, we have CSV file, we have the Excel file available with us. So we can connect these all data sources with any of the platforms, and then we can work on performing the ETL as an extract, transform, and load. So we have to first of all extract data from these different sources. Then we have to make sure we are able to simply save it in the repository for Tableau platform itself. And then we can integrate that with this entire Tableau readers as in workbook, or we have static readers. We can drill down, we can apply a drill down or filtering where readers for readers, drill down is not going to be available because these are going to be for static reports that can be generated. For example, here we can export the reports in the format of PowerPoint presentations or the PDF documents. And then for web and mobile users, for mass consumption Tableau server, we can also create a complete interactive dashboard for both the user types. So this is what we can achieve by using Tableau platform. All right, so now let's get started on installation of Tableau by using Tableau Public. So to download Tableau, Tableau is also offered as a part of the public platform. That means we don't have to worry about any licensing issues with Tableau Public. So Tableau is also offered as a part of community platform. So here we can navigate to public.tableau.com/download, and we will be able to see the download page. So here we have to simply enter the email address, and then we will be able to get the access to Tableau Public directly in our inbox from where we can download it. And once we are done downloading it, we will be able to see Tableau Public listed in our installed applications, and then we can open it up. So first of all, let's see how exactly Tableau Public Desktop is structured, and then we are going to see how we can create a customized report out from this version. So here we can, now currently this is the home screen for Tableau Public. So to get started, first of all, we have to choose a data source. That means which data source we want to work with. So let's say here we want to work with, or here we want to, let's say here we want to work on a Microsoft Excel sheet. So we do have the sample to multiple Excel sheet with us. For example, here we are going to make use of this global superstore orders. So we can open this up. Now we can see here we have the sheets available in this file. For example, currently we have orders and then we have people. Under orders, we have multiple data pointers. Like we have row ID, order date, ship mode, customer ID, customer name, segment, postal code, city, state, country, region. So here we have these different data pointers available under Global Superstore, under orders sheet. And then we have another sheet called as people. So under people, we have a sheet region for defined for person and the region as well, from where the orders have been generated. Now, if you want to perform multiple joins on this two different sheets here, based on the logic, we can define it, or we can keep it blank for now. So let's focus on one sheet for now, just to avoid having any confusion. Now, if you want to integrate that, suppose here we want to create a new union out of it, right? So here we can simply click on new union, and then we can choose which file we want to create a union with, which file we want to create the actual union with. So we can define in the file, and then we can define whether we want to create the inner join, the outer join, what kind of join we want to have in terms of multiple sheets. We can define that. All right, so let's now, to keep things simple, first of all, let's open up our orders itself. Let's focus on orders. And now, if you want to see again, here we can define the entire relationship between orders and people that we want, that we are going to discuss as we proceed further one by one. Let's focus on one. Let's remove this one. And here we have order sheet. So now to get started, here we can click on sheet one. So here we have multiple sheets that we want to use. So let's suppose here we want to create the entire, suppose profitability report, profitability report. Now we can always rename any sheet that you are working on. So we can keep on adding multiple sheets if you want, and then we can rename a sheet as per the visualization that we want to have here. So first of all, once we load data, we will be able to see all the data pointers available for us in the left sidebar. We can see we have the tables that we have the access to, and these are the actual data pointers in these tables. For example, here we have category, city, country, customer ID, order date, order ID, we have product name, we have region, ship date, we have multiple data pointers, and then we have discount, profit in terms of the actual value-based data. All right. Now, and then in here, this is called as canvas, where the actual visualization happens. So the entire reports that we are going to create, that is going to be visible in this canvas itself. And then we have tab called in the right sidebar, we have the type of visualization that we want to create. So based on the data that we are going to select here, the correct type of visualization is going to be activated here automatically. So let's say here we want to work on we suppose here we want to display profit. So here we can choose profit. And again, when we choose any data pointer, we can see which all type of visualization is going to be suitable for this data pointer that we have selected here. For example, if we choose region, then for region, which one is going to be a better option here, we can choose accordingly. Let's say here we want to drag profit, and here we have rows and columns. Suppose if we want to plot profit on in terms of rows or in terms of columns, we can define it. Suppose if we keep it to rows here, we can see the profit has been defined, and this is a type of visualization that we have the access to because we have selected only one particular metrics here. Now, let's say our goal here is to analyze the distribution of profit in terms of different years. So here we can pick the year parameter here. Suppose here we have order date. What we have? Here we have order date, right? So now if you want to work on seeing the entire detailed report, how the profit has been distributed in terms of different years and months and quarters, so we can pick order paid, we can drag and drop it in the column section. So currently we have two data pointers selected. We have sum and then we have year. And then based on these two, we can see now we have multiple reports being activated. So we can choose any type of reports that we want to generate from these data pointers. Currently, we are looking at a simple line graph where we can see the report for different years here, as in the order date, and then we have in terms of the rows, the actual sum, or we can see the profit. So you can see it has been a steep increase from 2012 to 2013, 14, and then we have 15. It has been a continuous increase here, correct? And there are multiple type of visualization that we can have here. So for example, here we want to plot this as a part of the graph here. So here we can choose graph. Here we can choose, we can say stat graph here. We can go for a line graph. We can go for split graph that we have currently created. We can go for the area chart as well. Depending upon the requirement, that we can choose any type of metric that we want to have. All right. So let's say here we keep to the line graphs. Now, currently we are seeing the entire line graph being visible here. I can keep it to this one for now. Now, once we have chosen the data pointer, now if you currently we can see if the metrics that we have chosen contains multiple data sets. For example, here we can see here we have access to multiple years. Now, year can be expanded. As you can see here, year has multiple values in terms of the quarter, month, day, and more. Now, what kind of information we do have access here? That will be totally dependent upon the data set. If the data set doesn't have reports in terms of different quarters or in terms of different months, we won't be able to visualize it, correct? But here in this sheet, we have the access. So let's say we want to expand this. So here we can simply click on this plus icon here. We can simply click on plus icon. And now we can see here we have 4 different graphs for 4 different years as a part of the entire spread graph here, right? So you can see here in general, we had seen that there was a steep increase here, right? But again, if we simply split this up in 4 different years in 4 different quarters, then we can see we have different performance for different years, correct? Although in the end, everyone's profit is is on the increased mode here, right? But if we talk about the performance, then 2013 didn't perform really well as compared to the previous year, right? Because as you can see here, from second quarter onwards, the rise in profits has not been that great. Same way in the quarters for 2014, there has been a steep increase from third quarter to fourth quarter in terms of the profits. Same way it has been a steep increase from quarter two onwards for 2015. So you can see what exactly and again the report for also same for 2012 as well. So you can see the actual report where we can get a better insight, okay, how the entire data has been distributed. Same way, now suppose if you want to split this further, suppose here we want to see the entire month-wise report. So you can see the entire report in terms of how exactly they have been defined in terms of different months. So let's say we don't want to see reports for different quarters here. So we can choose this particular pointer, and here we can click on remove. And we want to analyze. Now currently we have data pointers available here, correct? So here we can see the month-wise report for 2012, for 2013, 14, and 15. Now our goal is to plot all of these different four graphs, four data pointers on a single graph, and then we want that for each and every year we should be using it each and every year as a legend, so that we can plot them on a single graph, and we may use different color schemes for these different years. So for doing that, we can simply select year, and we can drag year in terms of color codes here. So basically here we can define what kind of legend we want this to be, as a tooltip, as a detail, as a label, as a path, or as a color. So if we drag this up in the color here, we can see we have a single report, but now we can see different colors have been assigned for having different reports being generated for different years. So now we are getting a better picture than what we were getting in the first time when we had the report generated. So now we can see we have multiple data pointers being generated here. Now how exactly it looks like, we can customize it. We can easily customize it. As suppose if we want to keep it as a tooltip here, as a color, we can define it as per the requirement. All right. So here you can simply choose the, if you want to customize the color scheme here, we can click on edit. We can change the color for 2012, for 13, 14, and 15 as per the requirement here. We can go for automatic, or we can choose from multiple available color schemes here. For example, let's say here we want to make use of the red color scheme here, or blue teal, mostly used for heat maps. Then we can define it. If we want to keep it for summer, we can simply click on OK. And again, if they have been a change any in the layout, then that is going to be applicable there. All right, so now we can see from this current report the performance for 2000. And again, if we, since this is a complete interactive report that has been generated, so now we can allow the users to interact with any of the elements here, and they can make a selection, and then they can see the insight for that particular report, right? So that's why we have, now if you want to analyze 2012 here, so we can see 2012 has been again going fine till June, and from June till July, there was a steep decrease in the profits, and the same trend has been observed for each and every year. So it may be a downtime, we can say an off season for this business, where it sees a sharp dip in profits in this month, correct? And then we can see again a steep increase in the profits as well back again from month of July end. So you can see from July to August, again every year has seen a steep increase in profit, but not which year, but not 2014. So 2014 didn't see a steep increase in terms of profit from August onwards. And then we can see how they are again further saturated and defined in terms of different timeline, right? So you can see then how the different profits have been distributed one by one. And if you want to calculate the year-on-year growth for these different data pointers, then we can also do that easily. So now we can, now apart from the reports here, for example, here we can see here we have multiple reports being multiple years being plotted on the same graph, and now we want to generate some more reports out of it. For example, if the forecast is available, then we can simply create a forecast out of it. So that means how the entire pattern is going to look like once the same forecast has been generated here, right? So here we can see the entire month of the year as well. And again, this is the entire report in terms of the future trends of this current data set, in case you want to generate a forecast here. Same way, suppose if you want to generate the trend lines, for example, here we can see here we have trend lines. If based on the current trend here, how exactly the report is going to be, if it is going to be in a continuous increase path or it is going to be decreased, we can simply set the trend lines for each and every report here being generated that we can focus on. Same way, if you want to focus on, suppose say here we want to annotate any specific point here, or that we want to be interested in. For example, here we can annotate as a part of mark or point or area. For example, if we choose it at point, then this is going to be defined here, and then we can define the annotation. That means if we want to simply show the profit in terms of certain profit as per the requirement here. We can choose any part that you want to be included here. All right, and as you can see here, the entire point has been highlighted, and we can see what exactly the profit is. We can define the count, we can define the profit for showing multiple visualized report out of it one by one. And apart from this, we can create multiple reports as per the requirement. For example, here we want to, as you can see here, we define the forecast only for this area here, right? Only for this month. And currently, and earlier we were looking at this entire possibility report. So apart from this, we have other type of reports also available that we can create. So for example, now based on the report that we have selected here, we can simply, we can also go for creating some customized report based on what exactly we want to evaluate. So for that, let's say here we can click on sum, and now we want to calculate a one specific value here. For example, here we want to define the sum, the average, minimum. We want to define the percentile, we can define it. In terms of forecast result, we want to get the actual trend, we want to get the entire quality of the data set, or we want to define multiple other pointers, we can define it as for the requirement. Same way here, we want to generate the month by month data here, right? So now we want to measure certain value here, or we want to generate a custom value from it. We can define it as per the requirement. So based on the current pointer here, we can simply generate any report as per the requirement. All right. So now if to work on further report types, for example, let's say here we can create a separate sheet. And now let's say here we want to plot our data for, let's say here we want to plot a data for quantity. Or suppose here we have sales figures or sales. Okay, yes, we have a sales figure. Again, we can define the sales figures in the rows. And now we want to see how sales has been distributed in terms of different categories. So here we can pick categories and put that in the columns. So currently we have 3 different categories here, correct? So now we can see we have multiple types of report available for this kind of data. We can make use of this one. We can make use of simple pie chart where we have to customize this pie chart as for the requirement here. That means how big and how exactly we want to visualize it. We can simply customize the entire report here as per the requirement here, right? Suppose same way here we want to define a trend line, here we want to group the elements, then we can also do that. So again, depending upon the timeline, we can simply see the entire report here being generated. Again, suppose here we want to have a day-wise breakdown. For example, currently we're looking at month, correct? Same way, if you want to have a day-wise breakdown, we can also, again, we can expand this and we can see how exactly the data distribution has been on a daily basis. So this looks like a simple heartbeat itself, right? So you can see what exactly has the pattern, and that too on different days here. So to get a more deeper insight that we want to generate here. All right. And okay, we are looking at different reports here, right? Suppose here we can create multiple reports on the same data pointers that we have selected. If you want to create multiple reports, as in, let's say here we have technology, office supplies, furniture. Now here we are seeing the sum of sales in different categories. The same way. So let's say our goal here is to convert this into another type of report, and same way we have reports in terms of maps as well. For example, let's say here we want to see the profitability in terms of different regions. So here we can choose profit, and then we can simply see here we can suppose here we want to see the entire reports in terms of postal codes or in terms of city or in terms of countries, and we can simply drag and drop the values here. All right. So let's say here we have currently we can see this type of data, it cannot be visualized on top of a bar graph here, right? So when we have this kind of geospatial data with us, then we get the access to generate the map based data automatically. So here we can choose map, and the same data is going to be plotted on top of a map data here automatically. So as you can see, currently we are looking at the profitability ratio for different cities here, as you can see here, correct? And now we want to suppose convert the entire value here. We want to simply make sure we are having the entire profitability, and that too in a specific color. So here we can simply filter it. But so now if you want to add multiple filters, let's say here we want to see the profitability for this one, or suppose here we want to add a filter here in this one itself. So here we can simply add filters, or we can format it as per the requirement here, both in terms of any data pointers that you want to filter out. We can define it. All right. Let's say here, currently we are working on this sheet here. So suppose here we want to filter this out. We can define filters. Now we can define the range of values. It should be at least, at most, and if you want to add a special value pointers here, we can define it as per the requirement. And same way, if you want to change the color scheme here, for example, here we want to change the color scheme for the current data pointers, then we can define it as per the requirement in terms of the heat maps. Same way, if you want to use different pointers here, we can simply make it colored like this one. We can add more filters, we can add more pointers. For example, here we don't want to show profit. We want to see the entire sales figure here. So again, now, if you don't want to see the sales report placed separately here, then what we can do, we can simply put sales figure as a part of tooltip. That means now if we hover over any of the pointers here, we can see three things. We can see the city name, the profit, and the sales figure recorded in this particular city that we are interested in, as you can see here, correct? As different cities, and then we can see the exact report being generated out of it, right? And here, suppose here we want to add more data pointers. So for example, here we want to simply see the sum of sales here. In this part here, we can simply segregate the entire value in terms of different pointers. So we can do that. Same way, if you want to create more data pointers, for example, let's say here we are now, once we are done, we can create a complete dashboard out of any reports that we have generated. For example, if you want to create a same dashboard, first of all, we can save the report in the same Tableau public file. And if you want to publish this, then we have to first of all log in to our Tableau public platform, and then we will be able to share this with other team members as well as per the requirement of the report. So whatever the report is, we would be able to simply see the entire. We'll be able to publish this, and then we would be able to share this with anyone. So let's just log into our portal here, just a moment. All right, so we also have the option of creating a dashboard out of this entire or this entire report that we have generated. For example, suppose if you want to create an interactive dashboard, so here we can click on this option here, and here we can simply choose if you want to create a simple dashboard out of it. So here we can click on new dashboard. Now we can customize the entire look and feel of the dashboard as per the requirement. For example, we want to, now first of all, here we can choose which sheet we want to use as a part of our dashboard. For example, suppose here we want to include sheet for profitability. So here we can choose profitability. So this report is also going to be generated. And now simply suppose here we want to give it as a part of different types. So here we can simply add the entire value here as per the requirement. All right. Same way, if you want to create multiple report mixes, for example, here we have this report here. Now we want to create a simple mix of the report here. We can simply define it as per the requirement here. For example, here we can have one sheet. We can define, okay, how exactly we want to place it horizontally or vertically, depending upon the requirement. And then we can simply choose the alignment. We want to add a text component here. We want to export this, and we want to simply give what kind of option we want to give for this sheet. Same way here we can define the size as well. For example, we are creating this for suppose which range here, or for a fixed size, or if you want to create this for a phone or for multiple device previews, we can simply see the device preview, how exactly it is going to look like on that device for which it has been generated. Same way, here we can define size now, and then in terms of layout, we can simply define the layout here in terms of the border colors, in terms of the entire layout that we have selected here. That means in terms of background, if you want to add a background color, or if you want to have an image that needs to be applied there, then we can choose that accordingly, depending upon the requirement. And once here, if you want to see the entire preview here in terms of phones or in terms of desktop, how exactly the report is going to look like for the exact resolution. And then if you want to change any type of layout here, for example, here we have for tablets, if you want to add more reports, for example, here we had reports for this one, right? So here we can add for tablets, here we can simply drag and drop a report that is going to be placed accordingly. So that's how we can create some customized dashboard which matches our requirement. Thank you so much for joining and have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.